You're listening to the Holo Health Podcast with Alex Cottingham and Trevor Deal. We know that health is hard and confusing, primarily because we lived it. It's part of our story, and we struggled for years until we discovered a better way. On this podcast, we cut through the noise of culture, talk about health the way God designed it, and how you can pursue it. If you're a Jesus follower who cares about your health, then you're in the right place. Get ready for the tangible and actionable steps to build a body, mind, and soul that you're proud of, or as we like to say, so that you can become truly healthy. Let's dive into the show. Welcome back to another episode of the Holo Health Podcast. I'm Trevor Deal, joined by my good friend and backwards enthusiast, Alex Cottingham. Alex, today we're diving into a topic that everybody wants to know, and it's how to build muscle.
Yeah. How do you build muscle? That's the $1 million question. Trevor, I'm excited to talk about it because this does impact our physical health, but it does impact true health in general. So would love for you to kick us off.
Yeah, like all of these conversations that we have, Alex, we want to start with looking at it through the lens of true health compared it to culture's version. Because again, we're not just another company that wants to help you get healthy. Yes, we do, but we're trying to do that through the lens of the truly healthy life that Jesus offers. So it comes down to the why. Why are we trying to build muscle? Through the lens of culture, the focal point is all about yourself. It's all about how you look. It's all about improving your own self-esteem. It's all about increasing your own ego. It's all about the self, okay? Which is a common theme when it comes to culture's version of health. When it comes to true health, Alex, we want to build muscle so that we become more resilient, that we build strength through our bodies, that gets poured out through our mind and our soul. And it allows us, we know through science, that it allows us to live a more full and robust life today and in the latter part of our life, which we'll talk about in just a little bit. But it's important, listener, for you to denote, why am I trying to build muscle? And it's okay to want to look better in the mirror, but the underlying tone and motivation is key.
Trevor, I was just looking up. I remember specifically writing and talking about this. This was back in November of 2023. If listeners you don't know, we do a 3 and 30 newsletter, about 3 things that will just help you become truly healthy every single day. If you're not subscribed to that, I encourage you to check that out. One of the points that we were thinking about this is in terms of true health is increased strength increases love. Increased strength increases love, not just physically, but in every area. But we're going to talk about physically. When I have the capacity and the strength and the endurance and just the overall fitness levels to help my neighbor, to play with my kids, to go on a walk, to whatever, I can love others how Christ wants me to love them. I now don't have a limitation for that. And it's as simple as that because we become truly healthy as a means to an end, to love others better. And when we look at it from the lens of strength, I can so easily do that. Or I can much better do that. Not easily do that, but I can better do that when I'm stronger and fitter. So there really is a tie to increased strength increases love.
I love the way you articulate that, Alex. The Oikios is a Greek yogurt company, and one of their slogans is "Stronger makes everything better." And I actually really like it. And using that language here, it does. It makes everything better. But if that's the end all be all, if that's the end, like you're talking about, Alex, then it will never satisfy us. It actually will pull us further away from what we actually want. So the question now is, how do we build muscle? We talked a few episodes ago. If you haven't listened, go back and listen to it on how to lose weight, specifically focused around nutrition. This episode is how do you build muscle? We're going to look physically what we can do, what is in our control to be able to build muscle. And there's going to be 3 key things that we're going to dive into here. The first, Alex, is you got to strength train. You got to pick up some weights. You're not going to build muscle without lifting load. Okay. To make it really simple, you need to just start getting in the gym. If you're overly concerned about what you need to be doing, you're not going to start. Okay. You're too focused on what's going on, but you need to be strength training at least 3 to 4 times a week to really see any sort of results. That's kind of point number one that we need to be focused on. If you want to strength train in the gym, and we're talking about focus on compound movements, that's probably the biggest bang for your buck, Alex. It's going to be focused on the squat. It's going to be focused on the press. It's going to be focused on the deadlift. I like to think hinge and deadlift. Those are kind of interchangeable, and then also just some single leg movement, and then some single arm movement. So think about lunges. Think about pressing overhead with one arm. Those are just a few examples of things, but you need to be strength trained 3 to 4 times a week at kind of a bare minimum. And those sessions can look 30 minutes. This can be 30-minute, 30-minute sessions that have a lot of impact because it's not only the strength training that impacts you building muscle. What's the second thing?
Yeah, Trevor, the only thing I would add to that really quick, as I get this a lot, is, well, I have a physically demanding job. I'm in an outdoor service company. I'm moving. I'm on my feet all day. I'm a nighttime shift worker at the hospital, so I'm walking. So I don't need to go to the gym because I'm really active. Excuse me. While true, there's a difference between movement and exercise. And if our goal is to increase strength or increase muscle, how to build muscle, we need to have repetitive, intentional, planned, and structured exercise. So there's a difference. Trevor, number two is you need to eat protein. You need to prioritize protein. You need to get enough protein. So you need to strength train and you need to eat protein. Here's why. In order to build muscle, the body needs to maintain what's called a positive nitrogen balance within the muscles. That means that the body is storing more protein than it's using. So that being said, it's important to understand that a high protein diet alone is not going to increase muscle. Excuse me. We need to, yes, eat protein, but in accordance with resistance training. Our recommendation is 0.7 to 1 gram of protein per pound of lean body mass, not necessarily overall, but lean, because that is going to help you stay in that surplus and not that deficit. So essentially, in a very simple way, when you resistance train, you break down your muscles. And then when you eat lean quality protein, you're giving it the raw equipment or raw materials to build back stronger. So it's a 1-2 punch, and they go hand in hand. So you need to eat and prioritize protein.
Yeah, and I've done a ton of research on what actually matters when it comes to grams of protein per pound of body weight. You will see results if you eat 0.7 grams of protein per pound of body weight. You do not need to eat one. It does not need to be 1-to-1.
Yeah, Trevor, most people just can stay at 0.7. They don't need to hit the 1. If you're doing like a performance type goal where you want to lift a heavy weight or run or do something, yeah, okay, great if you're an athlete. But most people can just stay at 0.7.
And we talked about that in the 10 Principles episode. If you haven't listened to that, we talk about it a little bit more in there. The funnel gets smaller as you refine your goal, as there's a more specific goal. But for overarchingly, for majority of people who want to live a healthy life and to have a strong muscular body, 0.7 is going to be the number. You're spot on.
Trevor, really quick, put this in perspective for you. Give actual numbers on your overall weight, your general lean muscle mass, and how many grams of protein in a range are you trying to hit?
Yeah, I mean that's great. I weigh about 190 pounds, and so for me, my target that I've learned over time is realistic for me to hit is about 175 grams of protein a day. That's my end all be all. If I have more, I'm not upset, but I have kind of structured my meals and my snacks in a very easy way where majority of days over 80% or more of the time, I'm getting that 175 number. I'm not always hitting the 1-to-1. I'm not hitting more than the 1. And I am the most muscular I've ever been, but I'm also strength training. And then I'm also doing the third thing that we'll talk about in just a second. So when it comes to it again, focus on breaking it up. It's not one meal, it's across the entire day. The easiest ways to do that, just a couple quick hitters there, is have protein at every meal. Try to have a quarter of the plate be made up of that protein, and then just let your snacks be focused on protein. Focus on Greek yogurt. You can add a protein bar in there if you want to. Let the snacks have nutrients like protein. They're going to be one filling, but also help you move towards that number. So if you're taking your weight and you're multiplying it by that 0.7 grams, that's going to give you the target. We can do a totally different episode on kind of calculation of that. We probably should have, so let's definitely do that. But we'll leave it there for the time being. Alex, the third thing, it can happen without this, but if you do this, it will take it to the next level.
Okay, for context, listeners, we have not chatted about this third one. Trevor and I always touch base. We're like, hey, the main two things to build muscle are you need to resistance train and you need to eat protein. The third one, he's throwing a curveball at me, but I already know what you're going to say. I already do.
Yeah, you should. Listeners, you can do
And it's steroids.
No.
I'm just kidding.
Please don't. Unless you want to back me. The first two you can do, and you can see results. You really can.
You will.
You definitely will. 3 to 4 strength training sessions and 0.7 or more grams of protein per pound body weight consistently. Okay. The third thing is you got to get an adequate amount of sleep.
I knew it. Adequate
amount of sleep, and this is like overarchingly, if you want to be healthy, you need to consistently get 7 or more hours of sleep. I mean, baseline. And yes, there's a season where you got a newborn and it shifts. We're talking about overarchingly. Can we consistently get more than 7 hours of sleep? That's putting the phone away and being disciplined to go to bed. And that's winding down, and that's prioritizing rest. Now, there's a time where you go spend a good evening with friends and you come home a little bit later, but we're talking about overarchingly. And if you want to build muscle, one thing that most people aren't looking at, we've got 1 and 2, I don't know what's going on, but you sleep 4 or 5 hours, maybe 6 hours a night. Your sleep's all over the place. You recover and rebuild muscle in sleep. The most restoration that happens is in your sleep. Both physically that happens and then mentally but that's a different conversation. So if you want this to happen, start getting 7 or more hours of sleep, man or woman. Listen, that's a big deal. Not only is this going to help you build muscle, but it's going to improve every other area of your life. That's why it's one of our 7 habits of health. That's why it's earlier on. It's habit number 2, right after Abide Daily. Again, it's not an order of operations, but we do want to articulate that sleep is an important part. And if you want to build muscle, then that's the third thing. You got to try your hardest to consistently get 7 or more hours of sleep.
95% of the human growth hormone occurs during sleep. That is responsible for cell regeneration, regrowth, and repair. You will not see to the fullest effect increased muscle size if you are not sleeping less than 7 hours of sleep. You will increase muscle, but sleep is your superpower. It will do it even more if you get 7 to 9 hours of sleep. So just shoot for 7. It impacts everything. Not only will you be a better dad and a better boss and a better whatever because a more rested you is a better you, but you will increase muscle mass, which is what we're talking about right here. So you'll build muscle when you sleep. So Trevor, you hit nail on the head.
Yeah. To recap again, the whole focal point of building muscle is not so you can just look good in the mirror. It's so that we're stronger and better able to love. Okay. Being stronger is a means to an end. It does make every area of your life better because then you're not limited by your own lack of strength to be able to love other people better. It is a way, it's not a baseline of move often, one of our habits. The baseline is prioritizing physical activities over sedentary ones, right? Moving consistently, getting steps throughout the day. But if you want to take it to the next level, call it a reach exercise, then strength training is our next recommendation. To build muscle, to recap again, you need to at least be strength training 3 to 4 times a day. A week, not a day. You need to be strength training 3 to 4 times a week. Second is you need to be eating an adequate amount of protein across the entire week. We would say that's 0.7 grams per pound of body weight at a minimum. And then the third is if you want to take it to the next level, get 7 or more hours of sleep. I think you should do that in general. It's hard. I toe the line on that sleep piece. Alex probably toes the line a little less than me. But those are the recaps. Again, building muscle is more than just looking good in the mirror. As we're pursuing a truly healthy life, again, remember that the great phrase from our good friends at Oikios, stronger makes everything better. We hope you enjoyed this conversation. We'll see you in the next episode.
You're a legend. See ya.